The Flash, the day he met himself. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you came face to face with your future self? What would they say? Would you recognize the person staring back at you? For Barry Allen, the Flash, this wasn't just a philosophical question. It was a reality that hit him at the speed of light. Lightning tore the sky apart, splitting the heavens in a symphony of raw, untamed energy. Below, a streak of crimson and gold blurred through the streets of Central City. This was Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, doing what he did best: running. He ran faster than sound, faster than light, faster than time itself. He was on a mission, one that had haunted him his entire life, to save his mother. He pushed himself, pouring every ounce of his connection to the Speed Force into this one desperate act. The world around him began to warp. Buildings stretched and compressed like putty. Colors bled into one another, creating a psychedelic canvas of a world coming undone. The familiar roar of the city dissolved into a high-pitched whine, the sound of reality tearing at the seams. And then, absolute, deafening silence. The momentum ceased. Barry skidded to a halt on a street that was both familiar and terrifyingly alien. It was Central City, no doubt. He could recognize the skeleton of the skyline, the ghost of the city he protected. But this wasn't his Central City. The buildings were older, scarred with neglect and the passage of a harsher time. Windows were shattered, facades were crumbling, and an oppressive heavy fog clung to the ground, swallowing the world in a blanket of grey. It was a ghost town, an echo of the vibrant metropolis he knew. A chilling emptiness hung in the air, a profound sense of loss that seeped into his very bones. Where was everyone? What had happened here? As he stood there, trying to process the desolation, a figure emerged from the dense fog. The silhouette was unmistakably Speedster. The suit was almost identical to his own, but darker, the crimson leaning towards a grim blood red. The lightning emblem and accents, which on his suit were a hopeful gold, were here a menacing, angry red, like open wounds. The figure moved with a heavy, deliberate gait, not the light-footed grace of a hero, but the weary trudge of a soldier who had seen too much war. As the man came closer, he slowly, deliberately lifted his cowl. Barry's breath hitched in his throat. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of disbelief and horror. He was staring at his own face. It was him, but not him. This was a Barry Allen carved by years of hardship. His face was a roadmap of pain, etched with lines of sorrow and exhaustion that Barry had never seen in his own mirror. The youthful spark in his eyes was gone, replaced by a deep, hollow weariness. These were eyes that had witnessed unspeakable tragedies, eyes that carried the crushing weight of 1,000 regrets. This wasn't just an older version of him. This was a broken version. A man haunted by ghosts Barry was just beginning to understand. You shouldn't be here," the older Barry said. His voice a low, gravelly rasp, a shadow of the voice Barry knew as his own. It was filled with a profound sadness. The younger Barry, still reeling, stammered, his mind racing to find an explanation, a justification. I I was trying to save her. I was trying to save my mum. The words came out as a desperate plea, the core of his very being laid bare. A flicker of something pain memory, empathy crossed the older man's face before he cut him off. The words sharp and heavy, "Oh, so was I." The simple, three-word response landed with the force of a physical blow. It was a confession, a warning, and a shared tragedy all at once. In that moment, the chasm of years between them vanished, replaced by a singular, shared point of origin for their pain. They were two sides of the same tragic coin, both born from the same noble, yet catastrophic desire. They stood in silence, two living paradoxes, staring at each other across a temporal abyss. The air crackled with latent energy. Tiny sparks of lightning, one gold, one red, danced between them, drawn to each other like magnets. It was the same energy, the same connection to the speed force, but now tinged with their individual experiences. It was hope meeting despair. The older Barry took a deliberate step closer, his gaze intense, piercing. He wasn't just looking at his younger self. He was looking through him at the naive boy who still believed he could fix everything. "You think you can outrun it, don't you?" he said, his voice softer now, but no less heavy. "You think you can outrun the pain, the grief, the mistakes, but you can't." He gestured vaguely at the desolate city around them. "This is what happens when you try. Every time you punch a hole in the past, every time you rewrite a moment, you don't just change the world, you erase a part of yourself, you chip away at your own soul, piece by piece. You keep running, keep changing things, and one day you'll look in the mirror and there will be nothing left. Nothing but speed and silence." His words hung in the cold air, a prophecy and a eulogy. Younger Barry's hands clenched into tight fists, his knuckles white. Frustration and fear warred within him. He had dedicated his life to using his powers for good, to righting the ultimate wrong. Was it all for nothing? Was this his destiny? A broken man in a broken world. "Then what do I do?" he asked, his voice cracking with desperation. "If I can't fix the past, what's the point? What am I supposed to do?" The hardness in the older Barry's eyes softened into a deep, profound sorrow. He looked at his younger self, not with judgment, but with a heartbreaking empathy. He reached out, not to touch, but as a gesture of connection. "Stop running from what hurts," he said, his voice barely a whisper, yet it carried across the empty street with perfect clarity. "It's a part of you. The pain of losing her, it's what made you a hero. Don't try to erase it. Run toward it. Accept it. Learn from it." And just as suddenly as he had appeared, he began to fade. The red lightning that coiled around him intensified, then scattered, breaking apart like embers carried on the wind. His form became translucent, a ghostly afterimage against the grey fog. His last look was one of peace, of release. He dissolved into a cascade of fading light, leaving the younger Barry standing alone once more on the silent, broken street. Barry stood there, his heart pounding a slow, heavy rhythm against his ribs. The silence was no longer just an absence of sound. It was filled with the weight of his future self's words. He was alone, but not entirely. A whisper seemed to travel on the wind, a final echo from across time, his own voice, but older, wiser, carrying the weight of acceptance. Every hero meets his past, only the brave forgive it. The words resonated deep within his soul. Forgive it, not erase it, not outrun it, forgive it. Forgive himself. He looked up, his gaze drawn to the horizon where the sky was beginning to ripple again. A familiar golden lightning flared, a beacon calling him home. He took a deep breath, the cold air filling his lungs. He felt the speed force thrumming within him, not as an escape route, but as a path forward. With a new resolve hardening his features, he lowered his head and ran. But this time he wasn't running away from the past. He wasn't running to escape time. He was running to finally face it. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think of this moment between the two flashes? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of your favorite heroes. We'll see you in the next one.